محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. دیگر باواز بلند صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله أنها قال دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام وقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة، فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا، فقلت أعوذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتني بالكساء اليماني، وغطيني به فأتيته بالكساء اليماني وغطيته به فصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بوالدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله، أتأذنني أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ وقال وعليك السلام يا والدي ويا صاحب حوزي، قد أذنت لك ودخل معه تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بوالدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده، السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذنني أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا والدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عم رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع والدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذنني أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا أخي يا وسيء وخليفتي وصحب اللواء، قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذنني أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بزأتي، قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ برسول الله بطريفي الكساء وأمياد اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وأمتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عادهم ومحبا لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيلا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا رب ومن تحت الكساء؟ قال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة معدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها اللهم صل على محمد. فقال جبرائيل يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام يخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مزية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين به الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال علي يا أبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جم من شيتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم لا يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال لأبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جم من شيتنا ومحبينا وفيه محموم إلا وفرج الله هم ولا مخموم إلا وكشف الله غم ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجة. وقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة اللهم صل على محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على وآل محمد اللهم صل.
صلوات. سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس، سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس، زینب کا سہارا عباس عباس. گالوں پہ تماچے یوں کھاتی تھی سکینہ، رو رو کے فقط تم کو بلاتی تھی سکینہ. آ جاؤ خدا را عباس عباس، سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس، سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس. تم تھے میری چادر کی محافظ میرے بھیا، تم سو گئے میرا چھن گیا پردہ، سر کھل گیا میرا عباس عباس. سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس، سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس. شبی کا سر پوش سے جب کھایا تھا، خنجر کے تلے بھائی نے ڈوبا کہا تھا. آؤ آؤ میرے بھیا عباس عباس، سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس، سکائے سکینہ عباس عباس. نعرے حیدری. Thank you. Okay. اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں. اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں. کیسا ہے یہ چراغ دل ڈوب جا رہی ہے، کیا شام آ گیا ہے. اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں. اتنا چلے ہیں پیدل کانٹوں پہ سار قیدی، تک جاتی چلتے چلتے چلتی اگر زمین بھی، پیروں کے آبل بھی آنسو بہا رہے ہیں، کیا شام آ گیا ہے. اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں. ہے لوگ کس طرح کے ہم سے دعا کرائے، قیدیوں دعا دو یہ دن نہ ہم پہ آئے. لے کر دعائیں ہم سے دل بھی دکھا رہے ہیں، کیا شام آ گیا ہے۔ اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں۔ نیزوں پہ جتنے سر ہیں، ایک سر ہے ان میں ایسا، آنکھیں ہیں بندے اس کی اور خاک پر ہے گرتا۔ عباس کا یہ سر ہے، تیور بتا رہے ہیں، کیا شام آ گیا ہے۔ اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں۔ ماں کے گودیوں سے لپتے ہوئے ہیں بچے، ہے ہاتھ رسیوں میں ماں کے ایسے جکرے، ہے بچے جو گر رہے ہیں، وہ مرتے جا رہے ہیں، کیا شام آ گیا ہے۔ اما فضا بتا دے مجھ کو، پتھر کیوں آ رہے ہیں۔
درود پڑھیے گا محمد۔ جس کے دل میں بھی شہیدی کی محبت ہوگی، معتبر پیش خدا اس کی عبادت ہوگی، اور وہ منائیں گے محرم میں غم سبت نبی، وہ منائیں گے محرم میں غم سبت نبی، جن کے اجداد میں تھوڑی بھی شرافت ہوگی، اور ہادی اسر پڑھائیں گے جو عیسیٰ کو نماز، ہادی اسر پڑھائیں گے جو عیسیٰ کو نماز، دو قدم آگے نبوت سے امامت ہوگی۔ درود پڑھ دیے گا محمد والے۔ شکریہ۔ اس سے بھی بہتر آواز میں ایک درود پڑھتے گا محمد اللہم صلی علی محمد. یہ خط میں بابا کو سہرا نے لکھا حال تپا، رجب کی 30ویں کو تم نے گھر کیا ویرا، تمہارے بعد 3 عید بابا جان، بروح ہم زنتی مجھے میں فاتحہ کی طبع، تمام روز تڑپ تڑپ رات ہوئی، ہمارے گھر میں نا عید شب برات ہوئی، ہمارے گھر میں نا عید شب برات ہوئی، یہ عید تو گئی بڑی عید فطر کا آیا، گھران کر میری ہم جو لیوں نے روایا، کسی نے گہنا کسی نے لباس دکھلایا، کوئی یہ بولی کہ عیدی میں ہم نے یہ پایا، ہر ایک خوش تھا مگر میرے لب نال تھے، سفر میں سب میرے عیدی کے دینے والے تھے، سفر میں سب میرے عیدی کے دینے والے تھے، وہ خوش ہوئی عید پہ کیا جو فلک کا مارا ہو، قسم لو بابا جو کرتا پھٹا اتارا ہو، وطن میں لوٹ کے آنا اگر دوبارہ ہو، تو پھر سے عید میرے بھی دوبارہ ہو، ہماری عید تو کنبے کی دید ہے بابا، جب آپ آئیں اسی روز عید ہے بابا. درود محمد و آل محمد.
پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
نکلے خیمے سے سے جو لے کر علی اصغر کو حسین نکلے خیمے سے جو لے کر علی اصغر کو حسین دونوں ہاتھوں پہ دھرے تھے تن لاغر کو حسین اس پہ ڈالے ہوئے ایک اجلی سے چادر کو حسین دھوپ میں سایہ کیے لائے تھے اصغر کو حسین دھوپ میں سایہ کیے لائے تھے اصغر کو حسین اشک آنکھوں سے نہ تھمتے تھے بہہ جاتے تھے لڑکھڑاتے ہوئے مجبور چلے جاتے تھے لڑکھڑاتے ہوئے مجبور چلے جاتے تھے نکلے خیمے سے جو درود بر محمد و آل محمد فاتحہ داغ پہ سر بھی سہ چکے جس دم امام پا داغ پہ سر بھی سہ چکے جس دم امام پا مقتل سے آئے خیمے میں محزون و دردنا مقتل سے آئے خیمے میں محزون و درد بسمل تھی غم سے حضرت زینب روئے خاشن کا پہنا کرو آپ کو ہلا در پیش غم ہے فاطمہ کے نور عین کا نیزے پہ دیکھنا ابھی سر حسین کا نیزے پہ دیکھنا ابھی سر حسین کا اصغر کو لے کے رن کو چلے شاہ نامدہ انجام کے خیال سے تھا قلب بے قرار انجام کے خیال سے قلب بے قرار دھوپ آئی گل بدن پہ تو جلدی بحال زا دامن ابا کا ڈھانپ لیا اس پہ ایک بار پہنچے جو نہر دیکھ کے صدمے بڑے ہوئے آدھا کے آگے بچے کو لے کر کھڑے آدھا کے آگے بچے کو لے کر کھڑے ہوئے بڑھ کے یہ پوچھنے لگے دو چار لیکن بچہ یہ مر گیا کوئی یا امام دی فرمایا زندہ ہے ابھی میرا یہ نازنی فرمایا زندہ ہے ابھی میرا یہ نازنی 2 دن کی پیاس سے ہے مگر مرگ کے قریب مشکل ہے زندگی میرے ماہ منیر کی پانی پلا کے جان بچا لو صغیر کی پانی پلا کے جان بچا لو صغیر کی سنتا تھا کب کسی کی ستم پیشہ وہ شریف اس رخ کما بڑھا کے رہا آپ گوشگیر کاپی زمین لرز گیا صدمے سے چرخ پی اصغر کا حلق تھا کہ مارا شقین تیر اصغر کا حلق تھا کہ مارا شقین پیکان ظلم پر جو گردن کے ہو گیا فرزند بو تراب کا دل سن سے ہو گیا فرزند بو تراب کا دل سن سے ہو بسمل ہوا جو ہاتھوں پہ فرزند گل ازار سرتا قدم لرزنے لگے شاہ نامدار آیا نہ کوئی زباں پہ بجز شکر کردگار کھینچا جو تیر ظلم تو چھوٹی لو کی دا کھینچا جو تیر ظلم تو چھوٹی لو کی ابلا جو خون لگتے دل آنکھوں کے سامنے اس زخم سے ملا دیا چلو امام نے اس زخم سے ملا دیا چلو امام شہ نے اٹھایا ہاتھ سوئے چرخ ناگاں تھرا کے آسمان صدا دی کے علما رکھیے معاف بہر خدا وندے سو جاں آئے اگر یہ خون ادھر اے سرور زماں ہر ذی حیات پانی کو تر سے زمین پر تا حشر پھر سے آبنا برسے زمین پر تا حشر پھر سے آبنا برسے زمین پر اس دم دل حاضی کو جو صدمہ ہوا کما مجبور ہو کے رونے لگے شاہ خوش قصہ بولے یہ جو کہ لگتے جگر سے بسد ملا بتلاؤ کیا کرے یہ لہو فاطمہ کلا بتلاؤ کیا کرے یہ لہو فاطمہ کلا انکار آسماں کو ہے راضی زمین نہیں، اصغر تمہارے خوں کا ٹھکانہ کہیں نہیں، اصغر تمہارے خوں کا ٹھکانہ کہیں نہیں، داغ پہ سر جو سہ چکے. درود بر محمد و آل محمد. تھینک یو.
نقوی صاحب، منور بھائی، آپ بیٹھیے، آپ کل پڑھیں گے. ایسی بیٹھیے. پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
صلوات بابا. اللہ یہ سلام پیش کرتا ہوں حضرت علی اصغر علیہ السلام کی خدمت میں. عرض کیا ہے کہ کفر کا مد مقابل آج پھر ایمان تھا. کفر کا مد مقابل آج پھر ایمان تھا. شہ کے ہاتھوں پر علی اصغر نہ تھے، قرآن تھا. شہ کے ہاتھوں پر علی اصغر نہ تھے، قرآن تھا. اور حرملا کا تیر ہی پسپائی کا اعلان تھا. حرملا کا تیر ہی پسپائی کا اعلان تھا. جان سے جا کر بھی اصغر مردم میدان تھا. جان سے جا کر بھی اصغر مردم میدان تھا. اور دی کی خاطر اس کو بھی میدان میں لائے حسین. دی کی خاطر اس کو بھی میدان میں لائے حسین. وہ جو ایک غنچہ ابھی تک رونق گلدان تھا، وہ جو ایک غنچہ ابھی تک رونق گلدان تھا. اور اس کیا ہے کہ پتھروں کے دل بھی زخمی ہو گئے ایک وار سے. پتھروں کے دل بھی زخمی ہو گئے ایک وار سے. خشک ہونٹوں پر زبان تھی یا کوئی پیکان تھا. خشک ہونٹوں پر زبان تھی یا کوئی پیکان تھا. اور خون میں اب ڈوبا ہوا جو باپ کے ہاتھوں پہ ہے، خون میں اب ڈوبا ہوا جو باپ کے ہاتھوں پہ ہے. سب سے چھوٹا تھا یہ بچہ، سارے گھر کی جان تھا. سب سے چھوٹا تھا یہ بچہ، سارے گھر کی جان تھا. اور ذبح ہو کر بھی علی اصغر رہیں گے جاویداں. ذبح ہو کر بھی علی اصغر رہیں گے جاویداں. زندگی کا پھول سے بچے سے یہ پیمان تھا. زندگی کا پھول سے بچے سے یہ پیمان تھا. اور موت گمنامی میں نقوی لے گئی ان کا وجود. موت گمنامی میں نقوی لے گئی ان کا وجود. تا قیامت زندہ رہنے کا جنہیں ارمان تھا. اور کفر کا مد مقابل آج پھر ایمان تھا. شہ کے ہاتھوں پر علی اصغر نہ تھے، قرآن تھا.
محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Zanabia, our condolences this evening on the A-Ashura. We appreciate everyone's attendance during these majalises, and for tomorrow we will have a majlis in the afternoon. Amaz will inshallah begin at 12:45, followed by Zohar and Asr prayers. After that we'll have a majlis as well, and Faqa Shikni to follow after that, and then Shama Griba in the evening. So inshallah, make sure that again, that you're getting all the notices and announcements and signed up in the WhatsApp group so you get in the communication. Again, this is a night that we can gather blessings as well. Last night I made the announcement and I'll make it again. Zanabia is the community's project, and it is basically surviving because of the community. And please give financially how you feel appropriate, inshallah. These programs that we've been having every night are the product of the community support. And inshallah, we'll continue to have majlises throughout Muharram and Safar, and again, have programs throughout the year. And these are the nights that we can hopefully obtain some of those blessings as well. And payment for donations can be made via Zelle and through PayPal at payments@zanabiacenter.com. Also, there's donation box in the back, and on the men's side and on the ladies' side, there are donation boxes available. But again, we will only do as well as the community supports the center. And inshallah, we will continue to have that support from everyone. And, you know, as we have been receiving for the last several years. With that, I will now ask for Maulana to deliver his sermon for tonight with a loud salawat, please.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم يا شهيد كربلاء. يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Respected brothers and sisters, illuminate your hearts and minds in this majlis with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. My condolences to you all, dear brothers and sisters, on this night of the 10th of Muharram. On a night like this, you find the followers of the Ahlul Bayt. They have gathered on all 7 continents. They have gathered to commemorate this event known as Ashura. Gathered and they've dedicated these nights in honor of the grandson and family of Rasulullah. Sallu alayhi bi'ala al-aswat.
Thank you, brother.
Now, some of us, we may have this inquiry. Why is it exactly we do this? Is it simply a tradition? The same way that some of the mushrikeen, when asked about their beliefs, they would say, well, our fathers and our forefathers would do this. Is it simply because our parents and their parents and their parents did this tradition? They come and they sit on the floor. So we come and we sit on the floor and we listen and we cry. Is that the point? Is that simply what Ashura is about? And what Muharram is about? To just pass on the torch, pass on this tradition of crying? And then after the 10th day, we go back to our lives, right? And we go back to our old lives, business as usual. My dear brothers and sisters, in order to understand the importance of Ashura, we must ask two questions. Number one, who is Hussein? Who exactly is this individual? If we can understand more insight regarding the character that is known as Hussein, we will develop some answers. And then number two, how exactly was Hussein killed? If we can find the answer to these two questions, we will be able to solve this dilemma. And we will understand why we and thousands and if not millions of fellow followers of the Ahlul Bayt gather every year and commemorate Ashura. Number one, who exactly is Hussein bin Ali? Imam al-Hussein is the beloved of Rasulullah. And our attachment for him stems from the fact that Rasulullah was attached to him. You see, some followers, especially of other schools of thought, they ask, why do you place so much emphasis on Hussein, Hussein, Hussein? What about Rasulullah? Our response is simply that we love Hussein because Rasulullah loved Hussein. In one tradition attributed to Rasulullah, he says, Husaynun minni wa ana min Hussein. We all have heard this. Hussein is from me and I am from Hussein. Ahabba Allah man ahabba Husayna. Allah, may Allah love the one who loves Hussein. See, what's the significance of this tradition? Everyone knows that Rasulullah loves Hussein, right? Obviously, he's his grandson. Who doesn't love their grandson? You find many parents, perhaps they were a bit rough, many fathers with their children, right? And, very macho. But as soon as grandkids come along, all of a sudden they're the sweet grandpa, passing out sweets, right? Allowing the kids to jump around, break stuff. But all of a sudden they change. So everyone knows he's his grandson and he loves him. So why is Rasulullah making this point? He's trying to say that Hussein and the actions of Hussein and what Hussein represents is what I stand for. There is an interlinked relationship between Rasulullah and his grandson Hussein bin Ali. And thus you find Imam al-Hussein, he brings to people's attention this fact. On the day of Ashura, what did he wear? He wore the jubbah, the garments of Rasulullah. Isn't that correct? He carried the mushaf, right, of his father. He rode and mounted the horse of his grandfather Rasulullah. And he was carrying the sword of his grandfather Rasulullah. As if to say, what? You are not killing me, Hussein bin Ali. By engaging in war against me, you are killing Rasulullah. You are killing all that Rasulullah stood for. So in fact, by commemorating this figure known as Hussein, we are commemorating Rasulullah and the prophetic mission. Thus, Imam al-Hussein is different from other martyrs. Yes, there were other martyrs in Islam, and he was not the first martyr in Islam. Hamza, the uncle of Rasulullah, he was one of the first martyrs. We have many, many other martyrs, right? We have Ja'far, we have others, we have from the companions many. We have Mus'ab, for example, a dear companion of Rasulullah. Many martyrs in the battles of Badr and Uhud and the rest. But this martyrdom of Abi Abdullah was unique. You cannot compare it to any other martyrdom, for it symbolized the killing of Rasulullah. You find in various hadith, Rasulullah, he describes his grandson Hussein and Hassan, Imam al-Hassan and Hussein, in ways he has not described anyone else. There's the famous hadith in which he says, Imam Hassan and Hussein, they're the masters of the youth of paradise. Sayyida shababi ahl al-jannah. In another hadith he says, Hussein rayhanati min ad-dunya. Hussein is my serenity of this dunya. Wa thamaratu fuadi. He's the peace, he's my peace and love. Right? There's another hadith attributed to Rasulullah where he says, Al-Hasan wal-Hussein imaman qama aw qa'ida.
that Hassan and Hussein are Imams, regardless of whether they are seated, they are active, or they are passive. See, these virtues were given to none other than Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. In one hadith, it's attributed that Imam al-Hussein walked inside the prophetic mosque in Medina. Rasulullah, he was on the pulpit offering a sermon when he saw his grandson Hussein walking. Upon seeing that, he looked at his companions and he said, Sadaq Allah haythu yaqul. Allah says in the Holy Quran, Innama amwalukum wa awladukum fitnah. Very Allah is honest when He says, sometimes your wealth and your children are fitnah, right? They cause you distractions. لَقَدْ رَأَيْتُ وَلَدِي الْحُسَيْنِ. I saw my grandson, and he uses the word waladi, my own son, Hussein. هَذَا يَمْشِي وَيَتَعَثَّرُ. He's walking, and Imam Hussein, the young child, is tripping. فَلَمْ أَسْتَطِعْ أَنْ أَرَى. I couldn't handle that scene. Just imagine, Rasulullah could not handle seeing Imam Hussein just fall and trip. أولادنا أكبادنا. Our children, they're pieces of our liver. We are physically attached. تمشي على الأرض. They are pieces of our liver that walk upon this earth. Meaning they're what? An extension of ourselves. And verily, Imam al-Hussein is an extension of Rasulullah. Rasulullah, for anyone other than his daughter, Lady Fatima, and Imam al-Hassan, he never used any such vernacular. That someone is from me, that someone is my liver, someone is my kidney, someone is a part of me. Nobody else had the honor except the likes of Imam al-Hussein. And you find it wasn't just Rasulullah who had this deep and sincere love and respect for Imam al-Hussein. This extended to the companions as well. Why? Because Imam al-Hussein would remind them of Rasulullah, both in his appearance and his character. You find, for example, the second caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, whenever Imam al-Hussein would pass by him in Medina, he would stand out of respect. He would be seated, he sees Imam al-Hussein passing by, he stands out of respect. And he says, وَهَلْ أَنْبَتَ الشَّعْرُ فِي الرَّأْسِ إِلَّا أَنْتُمْ. Is it no one other than you guys that bring honor and respect to us? This is who? The second caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab. You find when he was the caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, even his own son, Abdullah bin Umar, when he wanted to enter the courtyard of Umar, he would seek permission. He would have to ask his own father, because at the end of the day, yes, it's his father, but he's the caliph. So he would ask permission from his father to enter his presence, except who? Imam al-Hussein. The narration states he was the only one that did not need permission to enter the courtyard. Such that one time, Abdullah bin Umar, he came and he began complaining to his father. He says, I'm your son and I have to seek permission. But why does Hussein bin Ali get to go without asking for permission? He says, Waladi, my son, you're my son, right? But he's the son of Rasulullah. It's a big difference. And this is on the lips of who? Right? So even they would acknowledge the stance and the position of Imam al-Hussein. In fact, even those who opposed his father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, and they fought against him in his battles, they respected Imam al-Hussein. Abu Hurairah, he was a close associate of Muawiyah, right? And we all know, if we read history, Muawiyah and Amir al-Mu'mineen were not on good terms. Muawiyah went against the Imam of his times, and he fought Amir al-Mu'mineen. But he narrates, Abu Hurairah, that once I was walking with Rasulullah and some of the companions in Medina, when all of a sudden we see some boys running around. Among them, the young child, Hussein bin Ali. He says, I see Rasulullah begin chasing him. Once he catches up to him, he holds his face and he begins kissing him. Right? This is his grandson. And then he says, Allahumma inni uhibbuh, fa'ahabba man yuhibbuh. Allah, he's asking, he's saying, oh Allah, I love him. So please love whoever loves him. This is on the lips and tongue of who? Abu Hurairah. He says, ever since I saw that scene, Hussein became the second most beloved person to my heart after Rasulullah. Abu Hurairah says, we were once at a funeral and I saw the young child Hussein standing. He says, I went and I began wiping the dust off his feet. So you find even those who are not on friendly terms with the Ahlul Bayt, even they would still acknowledge the position, the high martaba of Al-Muhammad. Another companion, Amr ibn As, he fought against Amir al-Mu'mineen, right? One narration tells us he was doing tawaf. He was by the Kaaba when he saw Imam al-Hussein. He looked at his friends and he said, هَذَا أَحَبُّ أَهْلِ الْأَرْضِ إِلَى أَهْلِ السَّمَاءِ. This is the most beloved individual on this earth to those who inhabit the heavens. So even someone who fought his father, who tried murdering his father, he looks at him by the Kaaba and acknowledges. Once his son, Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, he saw Imam al-Hussein in Medina. He began approaching him. He wanted to say salam. The Imam did not respond. Why? Because this man's father, he fought his father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, the rightful caliph. And his son, also participated in that battle. So he told his friends, I cannot handle not having this person speak to me. If this person is on bad terms with me, I cannot live my life. Therefore, he sent an intermediary. He told his friend, Wallah, لأن يكلمني هذا, by Allah, I swear, that this person speaks to me, أحب إلي من أن يكون لي أحدا ذهبا. This person speaking to me is more valuable than if I had the mountain of Uhud in gold. Right? And this is the son of an avowed enemy of Amir al-Mu'mineen. This is how much he loves Imam al-Hussein. Right? So it's not that after the events of Ashura, all of a sudden, this sacred nature was given. No, during his life, people acknowledged. So the mediator, he went and he took Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As, his son, and he told Imam al-Hussein what he said. So Imam al-Hussein, he looked at him, he said, is it true that you said those words? He says, yes. He says, then why is it that you fought with your father against my father, Amir al-Mu'mineen? If you acknowledge this, then why did you do that? He says, well, I was with my father and he told me, and I can't disrespect my father, right? I respect my father too much. Imam al-Hussein told him, have you not heard the hadith of Rasulullah in which he says, لا طاعة لمخلوق في معصية الخالق. You cannot obey the makhluk, the created, over the words of the creator. Is that an excuse? On the day of judgment, you tell Allah, oh, my father was a mushrik, he told me be a mushrik. Well, if your father is going to go to hell, you have to go with him too? No. You have your logic, you have your brain. Yes, there are times when we respect our parents, we respect our elders, except in moments of truth and justice. Allah is not going to exempt you from punishment just because you followed so-and-so. No. When it comes to truth and justice, that is the objective measure. You follow who follows truth and justice, right? That's how it works. So all these individuals, they all loved him to such an extent. In fact, once, Abdullah bin Umar ibn al-Khattab, Abdullah, the son of the second caliph, he was in Medina, he was in Mecca, when all of a sudden a man from Kufa came, and he asked him, I am in the state of Ihram, and I accidentally killed a fly. Now we understand, during Ihram, many prohibitions are in place. Among them, you cannot kill any animal, including even a fly. So he says, what do I have to do? I've killed a fly, what am I supposed to do? Abdullah bin Umar says, Allahu Akbar. Aren't you from Kufa? You and your people were involved in the killing of the grandson of Rasulullah. And now you're worried about a fly? What value is this Hajj and this Ihram? If you're worrying about these minute details, when the people associated with your lands were involved in the greatest tragedy of history. Thus, Imam al-Hussein is unlike any individual to have ever come before him. Imam al-Hussein is not like any other martyr that Islam has offered. Imam al-Hussein has a very unique position. And Bani Umayyah, they knew this. That's why they began spreading propaganda regarding Amir al-Mu'mineen, regarding the Ahlul Bayt, because they knew that even the Sahaba and the Tabi'un, they loved Imam al-Hussein and the Ahlul Bayt. And if they love Imam al-Hussein, they would want justice. To love Abi Abdullah means what? You love Rasulullah and you follow in the footsteps of the Prophet of God, meaning you follow truth and justice. But these were oppressors, and that's why they tried tarnishing the image. They could not kill Rasulullah, right? Abu Sufyan in the Battle of Badr, where was he? On which side of the battle was he? They couldn't kill Rasulullah then. So what did his grandchildren decide to do? They tried to kill the replica of Rasulullah. You don't believe me? Listen to the words of Yazid bin Muawiyah himself. He says, لَيْتَ أَشْيَاخِي بِبَدْرٍ. If only my forefathers in Badr, and who were they? On which side of the battle were they at Badr? شَهِدُوا جَزَعَ الْخَزْرَجِ مِنْ وَقْعِ الْأَسَلِ. If only they saw what happened in Karbala. لَأَهَلُّوا وَاسْتَهَلُّوا فَرَحًا. They would have begun clapping from how happy they are at seeing the grandson of Rasulullah killed. ثُمَّ قَالُوا يَا يَزِيدْ لَا تَشَلْ. They would say, Ya Yazid, congrats, you did a great job, great service. لَسْتَ مِنْ خُنْدُ فَإِن لَمْ أَنْتَقِمْ. I am not the grandson of my grandmother if I do not seek revenge. مِنْ بَنِي أَحْمَدَ مَا كَانَ فَعَلْ. I am not a true worthy descendant if I do not seek revenge from the grandsons of Ahmad. لعبت هاشم بالملك فلا خبر جاء ولا وحي نزل. All this kingdom that the Bani Hashim, they wanted the Khilafah, it was all a game. There was no revelation, there was no Quran. Someone like that, of course he would be an enemy of Imam al-Hussein, because he stands for the exact opposite. Imam al-Hussein stood for everything his grandfather Rasulullah stood for justice in society, for peace, for the spreading of the prophetic mission. In fact, as the heads on the spears were entering Damascus, Yazid was sitting in his palace in Jayrun, when from the palace he sees them entering the outskirts of the city. He recites these following lines. لَمَّا بَدَتْ تِلْكَ الرُّؤُوسِ. When those heads became apparent to me, when I saw those heads on the spears, وَأَشْرَقَتْ تِلْكَ الشُّمُوسِ. And those stars began shining. He acknowledges that those heads that he ordered to be placed on the spears, they're shining stars. What kind of man is this? عَلَى رَبَى جَيْرُونَ. From my palace in Jayrun I see this. نَعِبَ الْغُرَابُ فَقُلْتْ صِحْ أَمْ لَا تَصِحْ فَلَقَدْ قَضِيتُ مِنَ النَّبِيِّ دُيُونِ. A crow began crying out. And during the Jahiliyyah times, during the Arab times, this was a very, ugly noise, right? The crying out of the crow. So a crow began crying out as the heads were entering the city of Damascus, and he tells the crow, cry or don't cry, it doesn't matter. I've repaid my debts to Al-Muhammad. So those who killed Hussein, it was not a personal matter. It was not, we just had some personal squabbles. They wanted to end the lineage of Rasulullah and the mission of Rasulullah. All that the Quran stands for, they stood against. If we understand who Hussein is and who he comes from and who he stands for, we will understand why they wanted to massacre. And in the type of way that they massacred him. And thus, our dear Imam al-Hujjah, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu al-Sharif, in his ziyarah, he speaks to his grandfather, Abi Abdullah. He says, لَقَدْ قَتَلُوا بِقَتْلِكَ الْإِسْلَامُ. By them killing you, they killed Islam. Because that's what they were going after. It wasn't a matter of Hussein. They wanted to end Islam. وَعَطَّلُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَالصِّيَامِ. And they've suspended prayers and fasting. وَنَقَضَ السُّنَنَ وَالْأَحْكَامِ. And they've nullified all the sunan of Rasulullah, the path of Rasulullah. وَهَدَّمُوا قَوَاعِدَ الْإِيمَانِ. They've destroyed the pillars of faith. وَحَرَّفُوا آيَاتَ الْقُرْآنِ. And they've perverted the verses of the Holy Quran. It was never a personal matter. It wasn't, you wanted my seat, I wanted your seat. No. What they were after from the very beginning was what? To destroy good and justice. Everything that is good and pure in this world, they wanted to destroy. Why? So that they could sit in their palaces and rule. That they could treat the Muslim Ummah like what? Their own treasure chest. And treat these people like sheep. But when someone like Abi Abdullah stood, this was a sign of what? The rising of justice in society. Thus, if you understand who Abi Abdullah is, you will understand why we commemorate this annual tradition. You will understand why, despite being persecuted for centuries, the followers of the Ahlul Bayt, they remained resilient. Because they had someone who, in the face of great injustice, great persecution, did not surrender. That's why the Imams were the first to do the Ma'tam of Abi Abdullah. This was not a tradition that originated centuries later. The Imams were the first to begin this tradition. Nay, Rasulullah was the first to cry. We mentioned the hadith several nights ago, in which Salama walks upon the room of Rasulullah after Imam al-Hussein left, and she sees him crying. She asks him, "Oh Rasulullah, why are you crying?" And he says, "Just now Jibreel informed me what would happen to my grandson Hussein." In fact, similar incidents, according to the reports, happened with Aisha, his other wives, and Zainab bin Jahash in their houses. They would see Rasulullah crying. They would ask why. He'd say, "I'm crying for my grandson Hussein." Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, peace be upon him, he was one of the first to offer a sum of money for a poet to eulogize Abi Abdullah, and they would be crying. Once a companion, on the eve of the first of Muharram, he saw Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, peace be upon him. He saw him very sad. Sallu alayhi bi'ala al-aswat. Allahumma sallam. He saw him very sad and despair. He says, "Oh companion, oh Ibn Rasulullah, is there anything that's bothering you? How can I help?" He told him, "Oh companion, do you not know what tonight is? Tonight is the eve of the first of Muharram. Do you not know what in these nights they did to my grandfather, Abi Abdullah?" And the Imams, they would remind their companions of the tragedies of Karbala. Because after Karbala, after all was sealed and done, did the Muslim world usher in a utopia? In fact, just 1 year after the events of Karbala, just 1 year, just to get a taste of who Yazid bin Muawiyah is, he sends his army to where? The holiest city in Islam, Mecca. Thousands of soldiers, what do? Read history, my dear brothers and sisters. They demolish the Kaaba. I won't say too much, you go read, but reports say the following year, thousands of illegitimate children were born in Mecca. This is what? The city of Rasulullah. They burned down the Kaaba, the house of God. These people, they were not enemies of Imam al-Hussein, they were enemies of God. They wanted to burn down, and they literally did, the house of God. This is 1 year after the events of Karbala. This is the tragedy of Mecca. Thus, we commemorate these events so that we do not have such tragedies occur again. If all the Muslim Ummah was united under the banner of justice, they would have been on the side of Imam al-Hussein on the day of Ashura, not on the other camp. Amir al-Mu'mineen, on his way to the Battle of Siffin, where he met Muawiyah, he passed by a land. He asked his companions, "What is this land known?" They told him, "This is the land of Nainawa." And upon hearing that word, Amir al-Mu'mineen began crying, because he knew this would be the land in which his son would be massacred. The hadith says he started crying so much the ground became wet. Thus, this is a tradition formally established, started by Rasulullah, continued by the Imams, and upheld by the Shia, by the followers of the Ahlul Bayt throughout the centuries. The Imams, they did the Ma'tam of Abi Abdullah. They commemorated the tragedies of Imam al-Hussein so that the spirit of justice would never be burnt out. So that that fire of resistance, that fire of when I see injustice, I speak out, I don't stay silent, whether that's in my home. We know many of us, right? We act so pristine and perfect in public, but the second we're in the privacy of our homes, what? We become mini Fir'aun. And we lash out on our beloved family members. You speak out against injustice, whether it's in the home, whether it's in your area of work, and whether that's in society overall. These gatherings where we remember Hussein, we remember his mission of upholding the values of Rasulullah, is where we remember this. And thus you find in the narrations, Imam Zain al-Abidin, peace be upon him, Sallu alayhi bi'ala al-aswat. For years after the events of Karbala, he would cry for his father. The companions would ask him, "Oh Imam, what's bothering you? Why are you crying?" He would say, "I'm crying for my father, Abi Abdullah." Imam Zain al-Abidin, once he was walking the streets of Medina when he saw a butcher about to slaughter a sheep. He told him, "Oh man, have you given the sheep water?" He says, "Yes, of course. I'm a follower of Rasulullah. Rasulullah instructed us even before slaughtering a sheep, you give it water." He says, "Then why was my father Hussein killed thirsty?" If these people genuinely followed the teachings of Rasulullah, they were worried about giving a sheep some water, would they have engaged in what they did on the day of Ashura? By Allah, no. If they were true followers of Rasulullah, this tragedy would never have happened. And thus we rekindle this tragedy year after year. We continue the tradition of the Majalis of Abi Abdullah to remember what happened to Abi Abdullah and to persist in our fight against injustice. Imam al-Hussein, the night before Ashura, he went outside and he was carrying things from the sand. A companion saw him. He said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, what are you doing? It's late at night. What are you doing? What are you carrying? What are you gathering from the sand? Imam al-Hussein says, I'm gathering the thorns from the sand. He says, why? He says, so that tomorrow when my daughters are running, it doesn't prick and make them bleed. Get the tragedies your Imam had to go. The night before the 10th, he gathered all the women, including Lady Zainab, inside the tent. He brought his son Imam Zain al-Abidin. He told them, tomorrow you will be following this man. And this man said, Jihad, he will be the father of the orphans. Oh believers, now it's the day of Ashura. Imam al-Hussein, he's standing looking at the battlefield. What does he see? Years prior, he would walk in the mosque of Medina and he would see his grandfather Rasulullah hugging him. But now he sees dead bodies on the floor. He sees the companions, Burayr, Habib, all beheaded on the sands of Karbala. He looks on the other side, he sees his son Ali al-Akbar. He sees his nephew Al-Qasim, and he sees his brother Abul Fadl al-Abbas. At this point, all his family members have been killed. No one except Hussein bin Ali remains. He understands that now it's time to offer his ultimate sacrifice. He goes and he gives a final farewell in the camp of the women and the children. He begins farewelling them one by one until he reaches his sister, Lady Zainab. He begins farewelling her. He tells her, Ukhta Zainab, nawilini tafli al-Radhi. One last time, bring me my young son, Abdullah al-Radhi or Aliyun al-Asghar. I want to farewell him one more time. She brings Aliyun al-Asghar. He begins kissing his infant, 6 months old. Lady Zainab, she tells him, my brother, your son, his mother does not have any more milk to offer him. He's dying from thirst. He's just a child. Take him. Maybe these enemies don't have an ounce of mercy. Take him and ask for some water. So Imam al-Hussein, he takes his 6-month-old infant. He places him under his garments. He starts walking towards the camp of the enemies. Now the enemies, they're confused. Why is Abi Abdullah not on his horse? Why is he not mounted? Is he hiding a weapon? What's he hiding? When all of a sudden he unveils from his cloak, the enemies they say it's as if we see a shining star emerge. It's a young 6-month-old infant. He begins addressing the enemies. He tells them, إِن كَانَ لِلْكِبَارِ ذَنْبٌ فَمَا ذَنْبُ هَذَا الطِّفْلُ الصَّغِيرُ. If the adults have sinned, if we've wronged, then what possible sin could this 6-month-old infant have committed? He's a baby. All of a sudden there's commotion on the side of the enemies. Some begin saying, he's a baby, offer him water. Are we afraid of even babies? And some of the other cursed enemies, they said, no, even the baby, we refuse to give him water. Umar ibn Sa'ad, he sees the commotion within his ranks. He looks at Harmala, this cursed enemy of God, and he looks at him and he says, Ya Harmala, iqta' niza' al-qawm. Oh Harmala, cut the commotion of the people. Harmala says, what am I supposed to do? What are you asking me to do? Umar ibn Sa'ad, he looks at him and he says, Ama ala tara bayada unuqah? Do you not see the whiteness of his neck? O believers, in a narration attributed to Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq, he says, Harmala, he took out his arrow. What kind of arrow was it? A regular arrow? It was a 3-headed arrow used to sever the heads of beasts. O believers, he launched his arrow, and Imam al-Hussein, while he was asking for water for his 6-month-old infant, he receives a 3-headed arrow, a 3-pronged arrow that severs the neck and the head of this young son, infant, Aliyun al-Asghar. Al-Mukhtar, after capturing Harmala years later, he asks him, you were there during the events of Karbala on the day of the 10th. Did your heart not break after seeing all these massacres?
Do you not have a heart? He says, yes. There was one incident that broke my heart. He says, what was it? He says, after I used that 3-pronged spear and I killed the infant of Imam al-Hussein, I saw that 6-month-old infant. He began hugging his father. He began hugging his father and he began crying out. When I saw that, my heart shattered into pieces. Imam al-Hussein is confused. He came asking for the enemies for some water. Instead, he receives a 3-pronged arrow. He takes the blood of his son Abdullah al-Asghar and he begins throwing it towards the sky. He looks towards the heavens. He speaks to Allah. He says, Ilahi, in kana hada yurdik, fakhudh hatta tarda. Oh Allah, if this is what makes you content, then take it till you're happy. He takes another handful of blood, he throws it towards the skies, and he says, what gives me solace is that this is all in the eyes of Allah. Afterwards, he takes the young corpse, the young 6-month-old infant back towards the camp of his woman. He stands at the door of the tent. How can he go back inside? How can he offer this infant to its mother? Instead of receiving some water, some mercy, he receives a 3-pronged sword. Oh believers, he goes to the back of the tent, and using the tip of his sword, he begins digging a grave. And what kind of grave? A very small grave. And he begins burying his young son, Abdullah al-Radi'.
Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. فسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Dear brothers and sisters, let us all raise our hands in dua. We all have those of our loved ones who are in need, who are sick, who are in need of shifa. And several of my dear brothers, they've requested particular dua for those who are ill. Our dear brother Mas'ud, who is in Chicago. My own cousin, Sayyid Kadhim Dearborn, he's in the hospital right now. All of us have those who are ill. For our hajat to be answered, for shifa to be descended, let us all raise our hands in dua and recite the blessed verse 5 times. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Amman yujibul mudtarra idha da'a wa yakshifu as-su'. Amman yujibul مضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Oh Allah, we ask you to grant us our hajat by this night of Aliyun al-Asghar, the personal sacrifice of the Imam. Oh Allah, we ask you to send upon us your Rahman, your mercy, and your forgiveness and your Ridwan, to grant shifa to all of our loved ones who are ill, and upon our deceased ones, our loved ones, those who have passed from this majlis, those who have contributed. Let us all recite Surah al-Mubarakah